Just a while ago here on YouTube right now, we were talking about the news report that happened in Tennessee, forcing prisoners to look at sex shows, which is unbelievable. I tell you that right now. Like really, it is. This is around the world, especially in a place like Tennessee. Wow. A bus driver charged of routine with autism finally struck by a car moments after stepping up a school bus. Wow. That's even crazy right there. Seriously, it is. You let an autistic child get up a school bus, and 13-year-old John Doe would exit the bus without activating count of second-degree child abuse and one count of failure to stop the scene, resulting in the death in Wayne County. Prosecutor announced in a press conference released on Monday that a 65-year-old from Detroit, Michigan, who was a driver, told ABC News is accused of violating safety protocol and could have been prevented the death of John Doe. He was on his way from home when the deadly incident unfolded on April 6, year 22. The John Doe was struck by a car in Cross Street in Nevada and Hurley Streets of East Side. And you can see why this person was hit again. Like, no one seems to care about this. That is really when why that ensured that John Doe was able to safely cross the street, adding that the bus lights and flashing stop sign had not been on at the time of the deadly crash. The John Doe was rushed to hospital where he died from his injuries on Monday. Quote, "It is the bus driver's fault," said his mother. "My son was autistic, so you don't care. You just let him get out in the middle of the street. And then, and then when he got hit, she pulled out and saw him get hit and still pulled off." Well, I don't blame the mother for doing what she's doing for her child, because her child gets hit by a vehicle in Detroit, Michigan, and the driver is 65 years old. Doesn't care about him not getting hit. She could have walked him to his home, because that's what a school bus driver does in the state of Michigan. Apparently, she didn't care about him. You see what I'm saying? That is the problem with these school bus drivers nowadays. You do not know who to trust in the state of Michigan. Like, seriously. I don't know how this happens, y'all. I'm very much surprised about all what's going on here around the world. Despite the fact that you're dealing and dealing and dealing with this type of behavior, we seriously don't know how this happened. But again, we're looking forward to talking about this right now. So the John Doe that was shot in Grand Rapids, Michigan shows fatal police shooting of John Doe La Hoya. So they did kill him in Grand Rapids, Michigan, sometime 3 years ago. Hundreds of protesters marched and gathered at a police station in Grand Rapids, Michigan on Wednesday. As the footage was released showing an officer fatally shooting a black man earlier this month, year 22. Demonstrators crowded together and chanted "Black Lives Matter" outside the Grand Rapids Police Department at the released footage of a 26-year-old John Doe being fatally shot by an officer during a traffic stop on April 4th, year 22. In videos posted to social media earlier that day, People could be heard shouting, "Blink the police," and threatening to kill officers. Grand Rapids Police Department released footage Wednesday, vowed to release video from a body camera placed inside patrol car and a cell phone nearby home surveillance system. The footage showed John Doe exiting his vehicle and attempting to flee from an officer during a traffic stop. After allegedly struggle between the two, the officer pinned the John Doe to the ground and discharged his taser. The officer started screaming at John Doe, "Let go of the taser," before pulling out his gun and shooting. John Doe's family members reportedly accused police of killing execution style, and several residents have called on city leaders such as Mayor Liz and City Manager John Doe to resign, where others demand that police but scale back their tactics. The deadly traffic stop is still under investigation by Michigan State Police to determine whether the shooting was justified. Two reporters today Wednesday, the officer who shot John Doe had been placed on administrative leave until further notice. Okay, let's get this straight. John Doe is a 26-year-old man, okay, who was shot by the officer's gun. Why would you kill another innocent black man in Grand Rapids, Michigan? See, that's what I don't get about the police. We keep saying we trust in the good police officers around the world, and we don't seem to trust either. Why? Because the police is corrupted as our school districts are too. If he was a corrupted police officer, why use your weapon to kill him? You could have found another way to either tase him or handcuff him, but not kill him with your gun. There was no need for that. And yet he did it anyway. And that's the problem right now that I'm still not understanding at the moment. Despite the fact that we're dealing with this type of person, this is outrageous. This is seriously, seriously crazy. Because you're talking about how you shoot him during a traffic stop in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And not only that, but we still have a shooting problem year 22. The problem with the guns right now is why do we still have a shooting problem? And I just want to make the facts straight. After what took place in New York City yesterday, gun laws and policing practices have naturally repensed. The main question still remains whether strict legislation, increased policing are enough to disgrace mass shootings of police. To me, right now, is see the eye on gun control and agree to cohesive solution. Tensions, especially run high between people who view more liberal learning. Now, to me, in this case, for now, discussion public predictably falls along party lines. It is no surprise that Jane Doe combined concessionist topic and guess that can solve the biggest issues facing Americans today. When you take guns, you take away gun violence. To me, right now, this is getting off. Significantly frees such of everyday shootings because they're cracking down on gun ability. Okay? To me, right now, this is off. Okay? The problem with this right now This person used to work under Donald Trump. I know who she is. And I don't find her very well trusted. Right? So you move to disfund police, even though that has little to do with this personal gun ownership question. I think that saw had been here for a long time. It's common sense that gun and constantly fails because Republicans have blocked across the board. It is not about disfunding the police. Made it clear that is not the position of Democrat Party and continues to embracing that New York City Police Department current budget is $11 billion. Understand that? The Citizens Budget Commission is a nonprofit organization based in New York City. More than $10 billion is planned for annual spending on the city's police force fiscal year 22. That is now illegal in Atlanta, Georgia to carry concealed firearm without a license thanks to a recent sign on Tuesday by the state governors. She emphasized that the higher of gun violence in both Republican-led states and cities, a calm isn't too drilled. Across the board, the top 10 cities with the highest violent crimes are all led by Democrats. Counterattacks said she acknowledges the gun crime is a different case. Out of the people who could be smuggling illegal guns into the states with the stricter gun measures, acknowledges possibility. So here she is blowing at the Democrats. Okay, so what does that have to do with the Democrats' stand? Points out of the property is one of the biggest driving factors behind violent crime. She, however, is unable to explicitly state how the GOP has been combating the issue. Instead, it resorts to blaming our president for the economy's current dry state. It is suffer a lot. Your boss argues back, referring to a terrible economic state, which is pledged by higher unemployment rates under the Trump administration. When you see growing violent crime in cities, people want to arm themselves. Says there is a reason why we have a second amendment. Later, she agrees that not everyone needs to be in possession of assault-style weapons like AR-15s. Even their void hunters or use guns rationally agrees, and adds that guns are oftentimes misrepresented because they simply look scary. It is as clear as nose on your face. The Republicans have been pulling a con job for years on not saying that the Democrats say they are the ones who support the NRA. Says. Now, for whatever reason, this Jane Doe, we really don't trust a lot. Okay? She used to work under Donald Trump when he was president back in 2016. And she blames our president for gun control. No, no, no. The problem with gun control is you let teenage kids like 12-year-olds, for instance, like that 12-year student who killed that 12-year student in the state of Carolina. He died from his injuries due to a gun. Second, last week in Bronx City, New York, a 16 Jane Doe gets killed by a gun. A 17-year-old John Doe shot and killed her with a ghost gun. Now, this Jane Doe, who used to work under Donald Trump, let me send her a clear message. Okay. First of all, we are not blaming the Democrats for this. We do not support the National Rifle Association in Fairfax, Virginia. We do not support them. If anybody supports them, it's the Republicans. We heard. The Republicans support them very well, Mrs. Griffin. You think you can just open your big fat mouth talking about President Biden this, President Biden that. This is not President Biden's fault. This is the fault of your boss, Donald Trump. Because he was the one who started saying we have the right to the Second Amendment. We have the right to the second to carry concealed illegal arms around the world for what? To start taking lives of innocent people, like what happened yesterday in Brooklyn, New York. 16 people are injured, sweethearts. You think it's funny for 16 people to get shot, wounded by a black man who's 62 years old from Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania? You think it's okay for a black man who's wearing a gas mask and a green construction vest to shoot at 16 people? No, absolutely not. Just stick 116 innocent human beings. You think it's okay? No, it's not, Mrs. Griffin. That's where you're wrong, sweetheart. You don't know a dead gum thing about the word weapon guns, do you, Griffin? No, you don't. Obviously, your mama and daddy never taught you laws about the word guns. But you want to blame the Democrats. You don't want to blame the Republicans first, because I'm still blaming the Republicans to this day. A few years ago, we go back in the 2000s, okay. The Democrats begged citizen Donald Trump for once and for all to take the guns off the streets. What did Donald say? No. We should have every right to have the Second and First Amendment to carry, conceal, and bear arms. And look what happened. Look what your buddy Greenhouse did to those two men a long time ago in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He killed them with an AR-15. You think that gave him a right to go walk free and not found guilty by that juror? Absolutely not. You think it's okay for Brother Zimmerman to kill Trayvon Martin a few years ago in the state of Florida? It was only, 15 years old of age. He had a breastfeeding bag of skin. You think it's okay for him to kill him? Absolutely not. You think it's okay for police officers who are corrupt to be killing unarmed black men in this country, in this state? Absolutely not, Mrs. Griffin. That's where you're wrong. See, you don't know a dead gum thing about the word guns. But you want to hear open your big fat mouth on ABC Network talking about the Democrat support the National Rifle Association. That is a bunch of lies. The Democrats do not condone the type of behavior you're opening about yourself here, Mrs. Griffin. Your problem is, Miss Griffin, you got a big fat mouth to open up to, and you don't know when to shut it up. How about that? But you want to school us about shootings that occurred several years ago? What happened in Parkland, Florida? 17 kids were killed by an R-15. And last weekend, 6 people were killed in Sacramento, California. You think it's okay for people to get killed by a gun? Absolutely not. You think it's okay for us to be killing innocent people, losing their lives around the world? Mrs. Griffin, no, it's not okay. But Ms. Griffin, you don't agree with certain things of political beliefs. You think that this nación has to do something with that. No, it does not. The Democrats have been blaming the GOP. Yes, I believe that. And the reason why they're blaming the GOP, because the GOP is endorsing lots of money on the guns. And who was that? Your boss, Citizen Donald Trump. And look what happened to him. He got out of office last year, 21. And we took him out of office year 22. Now he's talking about he's got health complications, that he's not going to run for president no more year 24. I'm happy for that. He is not going to run. But let me tell you something, Mrs. Griffin. You are an African American female. And how would you like if your people are getting killed every single day by the corrupted police officers? You don't care about your people. You obviously don't care about your brothers. You don't care about your sisters. You do not care about no one but yourself, Mrs. Griffin. Tell us something we don't know about you, Jane Doe Griffin. You were the top priority in Washington, D.C. when your boss, Citizen Donald Trump, was still in office during that. You have some big fat mouth opening about blaming the Democrats about gun control. This is done on the Democrats. This is on the corrupted police law enforcement we have in this country, that we happen to have in this state. Because every single time someone gets killed by a gun, Mrs. Griffin, they lose their mind. Really, they do. You think what happened a few years ago in Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut, you think it was okay for those innocent kids who have lost their lives a few years ago by those two brothers? Of course not. That was just opposite. That was just opposite. You think it's okay for your brother Jones to open his spectrum on calling this Wild West a hoax, calling it a witch hunt, calling it fake stuff? This is not fake. The Wild West 22 isn't fake, Mrs. Griffin. This is a matter of life and death. But again, you want to open your big fat mouth saying that the guns are not real, that the bullets are not real. See, Mrs. Griffin, you are an African American jingo. But you are an African American jingo that we cannot trust right now, year 20. Because you complain so much about the Democrats. You won't complain about your Republicans. Now, would you know? You don't want to complain about the Republicans, Miss Griffin. You want to complain. Democrats have nothing to do with the National Rifle Association. They do not endorse the National Rifle Association here in this country. We are against guns. And we're trying to figure out a way to get rid of guns as soon as possible, taking them off the streets so teenagers and young adults will never get their hands on a gun. Think about it. There's been cases where kids have been killed by a gun accident. For instance, Mrs. Griffin, think about the mother in Dallas. No, excuse me, think about the mother in Richardson, Texas. She killed her 3-year-old son with a gun, Miss Griffin. And she was African American. She is your kind. She was your sister. And the boy's father is also African American too. Think about it. Those two parents had different children living with them in Richardson, Texas. This year, 22 alone. You think it's okay for for an African American mother to kill her 3-year-old son with a gun? To shoot him at point blank range as a target? No. It's not right, Mrs. Griffin. It's not okay for a mother like her to kill her 3-year-old son last week in Richardson, Texas. No, it's not okay. It's not okay, Mrs. Griffin. Think about it. You want to think it's okay for a mother to kill her son with a gun in Richardson, Texas. There is something strange about that, Mrs. Griffin. I find it hard to believe. And the only one I see here from Mrs. Griffin right now is Miss Griffin is in trouble. Mrs. Griffin has lost control of her own breath the last few days, last few months, because she does not know what she's saying. She does not know what she's talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Our Democrat Party is working as hard as possibly they can to get rid of the guns, take them off the streets, to make sure the guns do not land in the hands of a teenage child at the schools, at colleges and university campuses. Think about it, Mrs. Griffin. But do you ever pull your head on your thick skull and pull your dead gum thing up and worry about the gun, gummit weapons? No, you don't. You obviously don't care about the word gun control in this country. What Ms. Griffin cares about is the corruption of the Republican Party. And that's how she puts it, because she's blaming the Democrats. She is blaming President Biden for the dryness of the economic state. This is not President Biden's fault. This is the fault of Mother Russia and not Father Ukraine. Ms. Griffin. You should see what Bucha is going through. Dozens of people killed in a subway station in the capital of Ukraine nation. You think that's okay? Dozens of people lying on the ground, dead, executed, stunned, and then taken advantage of too by Russian soldiers, Mrs. Griffin. You think that's right? No, that's not right. That is horrible what these poor people are suffering down there in Ukraine. And even though they're Jewish, good citizen people, but it's the Nazis, the Russian Nazis who do not like the Jewish people at all. They hate the Jewish people, Miss Griffin, just like you hate us, your own kind. You don't know how to respect your own kind, Miss Griffin. You disrespect us the way we look, the way we talk, the way we speak, the way we eat, the way we walk, the way we play in sports. You think it's all about that, Miss Griffin. Guess what? You're dead wrong, sweetheart. You have no idea what you're talking about. You think it's okay for seeing your own kind get killed by the corrupt police department, Miss Griffin? In New York City? No, it's not all right, Miss Griffin. It's not all right. I find it hard to believe that you even support your own kind. You do not support. I never hear you chant Black Lives Matter. You don't support Black Lives Matter. You are biased and racist towards your people. And your people really soon are going to realize what kind of racist person you are, even though you are African American Jane Doe. You do not respect your people. You don't respect your brothers. You don't even know how to show respect to your sisters. But your people come here to work, especially in this country, to have a better life. Instead, they get caught in the middle of the Wall of West. Year 22, Miss Griffin. Think about it. Think about it, Mrs. Griffin. Think about it. You think it's okay for us to be killing innocent people in this country? No, it's not all right, Miss Griffin. It's awfully sad. Awfully sad to see innocent human beings get killed by guns every single day, Miss Griffin. Every single day. Every time a shooting occurs anywhere around the globe, we're watching it close, precautiously because we're looking at the details of the shooting. But again, Mrs. Griffin, that's where you're wrong. You think it's okay? Think it's okay for us to get lost, to get killed by guns? And that's where you're wrong. It's not okay, Miss Griffin. It is not okay to see people get killed by guns every single time, Mrs. Griffin. It is not a right. Do not change the dial. Be back in just a minute. Thank you. Thanks. That is the problem right now. But like I said, Mrs. Griffin thinks it's okay for innocent human beings to lose their life every single day from the Wild West. 22. She's wrong. She is really wrong on that right now. Give me just a second. She is really wrong on that right now. Like clearly wrong. She doesn't know what she's saying. Of course. She doesn't know what she's saying. She thinks it's okay for someone to lose their life by a gun, no matter what they look like, where she's wrong on that. She had no right to saying about Democrats this, Democrats that, because the Democrats are not at fault, Mrs. Griffin. It is the Republican Party who should be at fault for never allowing themselves to taking the guns off the streets. And we're still debating about this. The last few years, Ms. Griffin, the last few months, we have been debating about gun control. And nothing ever gets done by the Republicans. Why? Because the Republicans are crying wolf for the stolen fraudulent laws in 2020. They're still crying about this. That's what you Republicans are still crying about again. Mrs. Griffin, come on. Wake up, sweetheart. Wake up and smell the air. Wake up and eat fresh cookies, Miss Griffin, tomorrow, Thursday. Think about it. We are not stealing anything from no one. Okay, we are good, decent human beings in this state. We never step from them. But you want to come in here to ABC Network, start yapping about Democrats that, Democrats that. We don't support the National Buffalo Association either, Mrs. Griffin. We do not support them in any way. We are against the gun control. We're not we're in favor of gun control laws. We do not condone the Second Amendment behavior for someone to go out and go kill whenever they feel like it, because it's not right. You think people in this state deserve to lose in their lives by a gun? No, it's not all right. Guns are evil, Miss Griffin. Guns are evil because people are doing evil things to their own states, to their own cities, to their own fellow men who do not respect. And when I say that, it's because they do not respect anyone, Mr. Think about it. You're sitting here on ABC Network today, and you want to open your big fat mouth about gun control. We have been debating gun control for a long time, Mr. And let me tell you, it's not pretty. It doesn't get any pretty to see some innocent human being get killed by a gun. That's even worse, Mr. That is even worse to see someone get killed by a gun every single time, no matter what day it is. Think it's okay? You think it's alright, Miss Griffin, to see innocent human beings get killed by guns? Even though they did nothing wrong, you think it's okay for them to lose their lives? No, it's not. It is not okay, Mrs. Griffin, for someone to lose their life just because you say so. It's not. It is wrong for someone who wants to do it, no matter what. It is not. And I wish you knew already, Miss Griffin, that you have no right to say the guns are not bad when they really are. Because let me tell you something, when guns are bad, you're bad. I'm letting you know right now. Now, I'm not saying that we have the right to carry guns in our schools because we don't have the right. Now, if someone pulls out a gun anywhere at a school campus and some student gets shot for no particular reason, Ms. Griffin, we're not going to blame the Democrat Party. We are going to blame the Republican Party and the person who's manufacturing guns in this state. You think you, Ted Cruz, and Greg Abbott have every right about laws, about guns? No, you don't. You think your little buddy Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and all those guys, McCarthy and all those guys, have the right to be talking about controlling guns about this? No, you don't. You think your brother Ken Paxton has right to open his backpack mouth saying about the word guns? You think Corning has the right to be talking about the word guns? No, you don't. None of you do. None of you do. I find it hard to believe for Ms. Griffin to change her strategy of mind when she's strategizing about the word guns. Because we're still debating about shootings of the Wild West 22. There's been so many shootings in the state of New York in the last few years, the last few months. Think it's okay for a homeless person to get killed by a gun in New York City? No, it's not right. You think it's okay for a person to get stabbed by a knife? No, it's not. You think that John Doe that was arrested today into custody, who was captured at U-Haul van, you think it's okay for him to shoot up to 60 wound and shoot 16 innocent human beings? Think it's okay, Miss Griffin? No, it's not okay. That is wrong. And you should know that too. You need to wake up and eat your fresh cookies tomorrow, Thursday, and realize with that thick skull head of yours that it's not alright. That it's not alright. Think about it. You don't know what you've been talking about, Mrs. Griffin. Apparently, you don't. Your political strategy absolutely stinks. It does stink a lot because the way you're talking. So the way you speak about it, you are not telling the truth, Mrs. Griffin. I'm telling you, you are not. We have been through so many problems already to this year 22. And you obviously you don't care about it. So here's the problem. Here was one of the persons in the shot killed was her husband in a subway in Brooklyn, New York yesterday. That I'm saying one person has already died. One person. Now, a man shooting at a train station and killed her husband and injured her son. A New York subway shooting brings back more painful memories. And back in 1993, on the moving Long Island Road, communicator train New York suburbs left her husband dead and her son gravely wounded. The tragedy transformed a nurse into nationally realized the forced gun reform on Capitol Hill, where she represented Suburban Congressional District for nine terms. Okay. Now she's retired, told NBC News. For those who like her, whose lives have been touched by gun violence, each now senseless shootings brings up a haunting memories of their own trauma. Transport them back into a personal tragedy. That was especially true as she watched blanket television coverage of a horrific shooting in Brooklyn's Sunset Park neighborhood where a gunman opened fire on a Manhattan-bound rush hour subway train. 10 people were shot, at least 29 were treated at nearby hospitals for injuries, none of which were said to be life-threatening. All day monitoring news of the shooting, she couldn't not watch the shooting sprayed echo, rhythm of the shooting of Long Island Railroad that changed her life forever, with the victims, such as her late husband, unable to flee from the gunman who targeted him until the train pulled into a station back in 1993. I was little by then. Her particular focus while serving the House of Representatives was trying to ban the higher power automatic firearms. They are responsible for so many mass casualty events in the United States. Although she did not succeed in the quest, hasn't lost hope for gun reform. She said, the movement has been some small wins in the past several years and praised President Biden's announcement this week, tightening restrictions on sale of ghost guns, including requiring serial numbers on component parts of so essential firearms can be traced. She also noted in a statement obtained by the Sandy Hook Foundation against the manufacture of the AR-15 style rifles that usually kill 20 elementary school students and 6 adults. She left the House back in 2015 after serving 18 years representing New York's 4th Congressional District, which covers parts of Long Island and Kentucky. She was born in Brooklyn, New York, and brought where Tuesday's mass shooting took place. She is now 78 years old of age, lives in a retirement in Fort Myers, Florida, and continues to battle with cancer that ended her political career. That had me in hospice last year, 21. I refused to die, and so I'm going to now be the perimeter care, and I'm battering every assumption. I'm stubborn, Irish. What can I do? Your friends keep saying you're probably going to be around after they're not around. That is certainly my goal. Despite retiring, she had pointed the belligerent views on the shooting that changed her life and the gun violence that continues to scourge in cities and towns across the United States. She offered thoughts of the Brooklyn shooting All mass shootings are terrible. There's something about being trapped in an enclosed moving train cart that's particular horror about it. And many of the victims of the Long Island Railroad train that were injured, hurt, lost a loved. And that's when they talk about there was no place to go, no place to run. For those people on Tuesday able to get out and yet to see others lying on the floor from the smoke injuries, the blood, terrible, absolutely terrible. They were freaking. People think that the pain goes away and it doesn't heal. I mean, we're certainly go on with our lives. While my son studies medical care. People I know who have been shot are still un, un, under medical care. Don't have insurance. And many of them will be possibly paralyzed or have head injuries. You can you lose a John Doe into this kind of violence. You nearly lost your son, so this violence, it must be traumatizing for you to see these kinds of events when they occur. Brings you back to that second unfortunate. I think that's when it happens to anyone who's going through any kind of gun violence. It is also very common, which was I was known as the gun lady. And unfortunately, especially during the 7 of 8 years, we have seen gun violence now young people in Parkland do. I'm now in Florida now. All those young people who in Parkland do. She was the first South Florida community where February 2018 shooting took place. Getting something done with guns is not something that easy. And that's what we need. We need more. We need other people, more. A lot of go through of my son and brother. when the gunman and said it's time for new voices to come in forefront because you had been in the trenches for so long. Are you, you a little bit disnucinated about your experience trying to fight in the battle? Absolutely. I left Congress because I was violence being dealt with and over. We're not taking away your right to own a gun. But yes, there are restrictions that can save life.